So today in this video, I'm talking about Kaizen for continuous improvement. And specifically, I want to go over the 5 essential elements that you're going to want to include in your next Kaizen event or any Kaizen event that you run. The problem is that most people overlook these 5 essential elements, but not you, because you're going to watch this video. Stick around if you want to know what those are. Hi, my name is Chad. I'm a Fortune 500 business improvement professional, and I've been working in this field for over 20 years. I started this YouTube channel to help people just like you who want to learn simple, effective ways to learn lean and continuous improvement concepts and principles to improve their career and the businesses they work. If that sounds like you, make sure you click that subscribe button below and become part of the community, because I release videos every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Now, if you want to be notified when I release those videos, make sure you click that little bell notification as well. Now, by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what elements you need to include in your next Kaizen to make sure it's awesome. And I've broken these down into 5 essential elements. And the first essential element is invite the right people. And listen, there is a happy sweet spot for the number of people you want to invite. Usually about 5 to 8 people. Anything less and you're missing on the breadth of conversation, you're gonna miss out on a lot of the experience. But anything more and you run the risk of actually causing some conflict or having difficulties resolving conflict within the group because the group gets too big. You're also gonna wanna invite the experts. Now, who are the experts? Well, the experts are the people who run the process every day. They're the best ones, they're the experts at their process, right? So if you invite those folks, you're gonna get more detailed conversation happening around what the little nuances and details about what's happening that's negatively impacting usually their process, right? The thing here is that if you have 15 people running that process, you don't wanna invite all 15 people to the meeting, right? You want to keep it between 5 and 8, but you want to get a good mixture of those folks, those experts, right? So figure out who those experts are and bring those folks to the meeting. The next person you should invite is the owner of the actual process, right? Who's the owner of the process that you're trying to solve this problem for? When this whole Kaizen event is launched around some sort of a process, right? Well, who owns that process? You're going to want to make sure you invite them to the meeting as well, because they have skin in the game now, right? They need to make sure this problem is solved. You want to make sure they're in the event, hearing everything that's happening, and more importantly, they're helping take action on some of these things. And then finally, you're going to want to make sure there's a leader in that event. Now, this leader is separate from the actual owner of the process. The leader is someone who can make decisions, right? They can make decisions on personnel, maybe if a little bit of money needs to be spent, or if something needs to happen, resources, time, that kind of thing. That's what the leader is going to be there for. So you want to make sure you have at least one of those folks on the team. And sometimes the leader is the process owner. I get that. But usually if I can't get a leader in, like a C-level leader or director, I'll at least have them come in at the beginning of the event to give a nice speech on why the event's happening, to sort of set the tone for the week. All right, the second key essential element is defining the process. I'm telling you, this is overlooked so many times, because if you don't define the process properly, you're going to find that the meeting, the event, the whole entire week's going to start scattering, because there's no defined problem that everyone is focused on. So when nobody has that focus, they start to lose it, right? They start to lose that focus, that energy towards solving that one problem. So make sure you have a defined problem, and you're going to want to articulate that problem in a problem statement. And the way to do this is, I've talked about this in other videos, but basically you want to look at the who, what, when, where, why, how, and how many, okay? And if you fill out those, then you can go back and articulate a problem statement around those answers. And when you're talking about defining the problem, make sure there's a metric you're trying to improve on. Again, I've talked about this before, but fundamentally, if you're sick and you're feeling bad, these are all feelings, right? My stomach's upset, I have a bad headache, whatever it is. These are symptoms of an underlying problem. But if you take my temperature and I have 102 temperature, now we have a measurable target, right? We know that my temperature is supposed to be 98.6. I'm at 102, 103. We need to reduce that temperature to make me feel a little bit better. Now there's some root causes down there. Maybe it's the flu, maybe a virus or something that you have to really dig down to, but at least you have that measurable metric, that metric you're looking for, that's going to help the group focus during the week of the Kaizen event. And always look at the gap. In other words, you want to say, what is the target? For example, my temperature was 98.6. What is the actual? 102. Now you have the gap that you know you need to close. And the best part about doing all of this is that you can get agreement on that metric, and it creates focus. Now, if you like what you're hearing so far about Kaizens, I want you to take 2 actions. Number 1, I want you to give me a thumbs up on this video if you like what you're hearing. And number 2, I want you to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to share with you a Kaizen blueprint, step-by-step checklist that you can actually follow that's going to help you on your next Kaizen event. It goes through the process of planning, delivering, and ensuring your next Kaizen event will be successful. So make sure you stick around to the end of the video and grab that free resource. Now, the third essential element you need to do is you need to create your charter for the event. Your charter is basically your contract. You can go into Google and type in Kaizen charter. You're going to see a plethora of different types of Kaizen charter layouts. Check those out, see which one fits your organization or your next Kaizen event, and use that. Now, in addition to it actually being sort of like a contract, it is also a guideline that you can use in the pre-planning phase of planning for the Kaizen event. You can go over it with the process owner, fill out a lot of the initial information that's on those charters, and then it helps you sort of navigate all the way up to the Kaizen event. And then guess what you can do? You can use that Kaizen charter to go over at the beginning, day 1, you want to go over that charter and say, this is what we're trying to accomplish. This is sort of the pre-work we've done so far, and it sets the tone for the week. A lot of people do not plan enough time for Kaizen events. Often, I've seen where Kaizen events were needed on like a Thursday or Friday for the next week. And unfortunately, now it can be done, but it has to be someone that's very experienced at Kaizens, and even someone that's very experienced, I really don't recommend it. You really want about 4 to 5 weeks out from the actual event. So that's 4 or 5 weeks of pre-work. That means communicating, planning, all that stuff. You need about 4 or 5 weeks for an event that's going to be successful. Now, during that 4 or 5 weeks, you're going to do some pre-work. You're also going to do a lot of communicating not just to the stakeholders, right? Because they sort of are a bigger group than just the people that are going to be in the Kaizen event. So you're communicating to the stakeholders, you're communicating to the process owners, you're communicating to the people that's going to be in the event, and there's a staged process. But that free blueprint that I'm going to give you at the end of this video, it's going to go over a lot of that. Plus, I did another video, which I'll post at the end of this video, where I go into really a lot of detail on how to plan each week. So I'll make sure I'll post that at the end of this video as well. Just know that planning is an essential part of a Kaizen event. Oftentimes it's overlooked. And when the plan's not really written for these things, I've seen them fall apart. Like they'll go into the Kaizen event and it just simply crumbles because they didn't have a solid plan going into the event. And I've seen some people force through, right, and still do the Kaizen event, do the 5 days, but no action was taken and no problem was resolved. And the fifth and final essential element is sustain. Honestly, this is, aside from actually fixing the problem, this is the most important element, and you should not forget this. So what sustaining means is that you sustained improvements. You've gone through and standardized what you've done. So you've made the improvement, you've standardized it in some sort of paperwork, you've trained people on it, and now you're making sure that resolution, that problem that you fixed is actually sustaining itself. The good rule of thumb is at least 30, 60, 90 days, you want to make sure that you're seeing the results and the expectations that you thought you were going to see during the event. Even if you don't achieve 100% of what you thought, at least you're tracking that and you're achieving something. You definitely don't want to see a negative impact, so make sure you're monitoring all of that for effectiveness of your Kaizen event. Now, once the sustaining part is over, right, at the end of the sustaining period, you're going to share the results with the organization. Usually this is done in some sort of a report out in a 4-box with directors and C-level execs and the wider population. It gets posted on a website or a newsletter sometimes. I've seen that happen, and it's usually effective. And then you also want to take those improvements that you've done, reach out to other organizations within your umbrella, right, within your business umbrella, and see if those organizations and companies have actually have had the same problem, that you can take your packaged up event, send over to them, and maybe they could use that to solve the same problem at their organization. We call this feed forward, at least we used to back in the Japanese company. Doesn't matter what you call it. You're just trying to share the knowledge and experience that you had fixing this particular problem and the results that you had after implementing some sort of a solution. And that's how you use Kaizen for continuous improvement. The 5 essential elements that you certainly don't want to forget, but most people do forget at least 2 or 3 of these during when they're planning for their event or trying to run their event. Now, for that free Kaizen blueprint, make sure you go down in the description below. You'll see a link down there that says Kaizen blueprint. Once you put in your email address and everything, tell me where to send it. I'll send it over to you, and that's yours free. It's going to be awesome. Use it on your next event, and be sure to come back and let me know how it goes. Again, I release a video every Tuesday at 11 a.m., so make sure you click that bell notification so you'll be notified when I release that video. I'll see you all in the next one.